which ye have given us.
Time. All praise. What you got, Kate?
Fine. This is 1 John 4 and 6. We are of Yahweh. He that knoweth Yahweh heareth us. He that is not of Yahweh heareth not us. Sorry. Okay. We are of Yahweh. He that knoweth Yahweh heareth us. He that is not of Yahweh heareth not us. Hereby know we the spirit of truth and the spirit of error. The love, let us love one another, for love is of Yahweh.
Love is of who?
For love is of Yahweh. And everyone that loveth is born of Yahweh and knoweth Yahweh.
Right, so the love is going back to the law, statutes, and commandments. All right, we got to make sure that we're fervent in the law and that we're keeping the commandments. Hey, sis, how you doing? Shalom, how you doing? You got a second to hear the word of the Most High? You got to go to work? All right, sis, you an Israelite. Make sure you turn back to the law, statutes, and commandments. All right, what you got?
This is the book of John, chapter 15, and verse number 12. Bring it out. This is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you.
That we what?
That
I like it.
as I have loved you. Greater love have no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends.
Read that again.
Greater love have no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends. Ye are my friends, if ye do whatsoever I command you. Henceforth I call you not servants, for the servant knoweth not what his Lord doeth. But I have called you friends, for all things that I have heard of my Father.
Right. Didn't the Most High call Abraham a friend, right? Because he was loyal. He kept the law, statutes, and commandments. Where you at, King?
I have made known unto you. Ye have not chosen me, but I have chosen you and ordained you that ye should go and bring forth fruit, and that your fruit should remain, that whatsoever ye shall ask of the Father in my name.
Right, so we got to bring out good fruits. All right, the good fruits is the keeping of the law, statutes, and commandments. All right, I think we got one more, and then I'm gonna pass it to the next mighty speaker. Did you read it? Yeah, read 17.
These things I command you, that you love one another. If the world hates you, ye know that it hated me before it hated you. If ye were of the world would love his own.
Right, read.
But because ye are not of the world, but I have chosen you out of the world, therefore the world hated you.
Right, so we are not of this world. We are of the world to come. We are of the Most High's world, all right? And we're going to keep these law, statutes, and commandments till we out of here. And with that, I'll pass it to the next mighty speaker, Shalom.
Oh,
Mighty.
Yeah. All praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bashem and Mashiach Yahushai. Ooh, slacky. Let me switch up my background. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Hope you had an amazing week. Also, Ashar Kadash Yarak. Happy New Moon. So, new moon, new month. It was a black moon last night. So let's use this background. A black moon, very rare, happens every 33 months. Interesting number. Thanks. And you have a blood moon coming up. September 7th. Okay, so it's safe to say it's a lot going on. Okay. And in the skies. I believe there's a conjunction of the planets, planetary parade. I think six planets right now. So the heavens are very active, and same thing on the ground. You know what I mean? A lot of stuff going on as far as wars and rumors of wars. You have warships surrounding Venezuela, and it seems like Trump might invade Mexico. So, safe to say, lots going on. So let's give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bashem Mashiach, Yahweh Shai. Yahweh being the name of the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Shai being the name of his only begotten Son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. Double honors to our elders, paving the way, putting in the work. Kwam Yasha Allah, rise Israel. Let's repent and come back to the law, statutes, commandments. Let's begin. All right, so this lesson is called "You Gotta Have Faith." Faith is crucial. Faith is very important in these last days, especially in these last days. Um, Understanding what's occurring, what the Most High is doing, and seeing that He said He's going to do it, and He's making it happen. Okay, and what we got to do, everything in our power to keep these laws, statutes, commandments, and keep moving forward. All right, so let's start with Hebrews 11 and verse 6. Let's get to the book of Hebrews 11, verse 6. Apparently, Trump is also putting National Guard in 19 states. So that seems like martial law, you know what I mean? Um, this is pretty much where we're at. This is something that obviously is written and seems like he's going through with it. Same thing he did in DC. That DC probably like a test subject and going around the country now. So it's always best to follow these law, statutes, commandments. All right, so let's get Hebrews 11, verse 6. But without faith, it is impossible to please him. So faith is a necessity. Faith isn't, an option, maybe I believe, but I'll just front, you know what I mean, wear my fringes and, go to the feast days. I'm not really into it, it's just kind of something I do, uh, on the weekend. I'm a weekend Israelite. That's not possible. Because it says, but without faith it is impossible to please him. For he that cometh to Yahweh must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. So you got to believe in this thing. You know what I mean? You got to see it. You got to see it for what it is. You got to understand that, of course, Satan will do everything in his power to bring you away from following the law, statutes, commandments, believing that the scriptures is true. So what does he say? He says, "Oh, it's a white man's book." He also says, uh, the Book of the Dead predates the Bible. You know, the Bible starts with "in the beginning," but it's actually plagiarized from the Book of the Dead. It's an allegory of the constellations and astrology and all this other stuff. The 12 tribes or the 12 planets, or you know what I mean, um, or the 12 constellations. So, you know, uh, Satan has done a pretty good job, of sending a lot of, you know, lies, when it comes to the scriptures, and our people believe it, painting his own image as Christ, Caesar Bonjour as Christ, and you see him doing it now with the museums, taking out our Black excellence. I'm sure it's going to be replaced. Instead of slavery was bad, slavery was low wage workers, so that's something that Esau has been doing, um, and he continues to do, but we got to be able to see through that. Look at what's going on. Look at the fact that it says we will go into slavery, been to slavery, well documented. You know what I mean? And as far as Alexander, Pharaoh, all these historical figures you can trace back through history and through the scriptures. Okay. So the earth backs up what the Bible says, but in order to please the Most High, we got to believe. All right. Let's go to Hebrews 11, verse 1. It's almost like a job. You go to a job and the HR, and you have a meeting with your supervisors and stuff. Like, this is the plan. This is what we have set up here at this job before you got here. This is our vision, our vision of the future. You know what I'm saying? You gotta work in the parameters of this vision. You know what I'm saying? And you're sitting there, you went through the hiring process, you know, you filled out your resume and all that. So you're sitting like, yeah, sure, whatever, I'm down. Um, and you're hype, right? And that's normally how the truth is. First you find out you're a Hebrew Israelite, you're excited, you're happy, you want to tell everybody, and then you realize you got to do stuff. It's like an active, it's a job, you know what I'm saying? This is your work. This is find out who you are. Everything was taken from you. So you got to find out who you are, what you should be doing, and remember it on a daily basis. The most important job that you have. It's like, so as you go hard for your worldly job that you make your worldly money on, you got to go the same way for the truth. Okay? Hebrews 11 verse 1. Now,
Shalakia.
Khan, Shalom, King.
Hey, Shalom, King. Yahweh Mashiach Brakatah.
Khan, Thwada.
Khan, I got you, Khan. Khan, this is the book of Hebrews, chapter 11, verse 1. Now, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen.
Khan. So, substance, you know what I mean? It's not some arbitrary word. You just gotta have faith. All you gotta do is just have faith. You know what I mean? It's measurable. You know what I mean? When you look up that word, you can replace it with confidence. How much confidence do you have in the scriptures? How much confidence do you have in the word of God? A lot of people in the streets have confidence with their gun. You know what I mean? Their gun is, they you can see it. You know what I mean? People walk different when they got it on them. They talk different when they got it on them. Um, they drive different. They cut you off in traffic. It cuts you out, and you just know that in this city, you're like, man, that person definitely has a gun. You know what I mean? Because everybody else has one, so they're just extra loud and extra boisterous and got their chest poked out and everything like that because they have confidence in what they in their pistol. But of course, guns jam. Guns misfire. You know what I mean? Anything can happen, you know. But the confidence in Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, when you go back to history, historical references in the scriptures, how our ancestors believed in Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, and he didn't, leave them when times got rough, you know, based upon like the scriptures say, with David, the cleanliness of their hands. Those times where other people have prayed to Yahweh Shai Shai, and you know, like say Saul, for instance, he didn't do what the Most High required of him to the point where he was going to a witch asking for help. You know, so but we got other people, in the scriptures, Abraham, Moses, Daniel, you know what I mean? That when they prayed to Yahweh Shai Shai, they got results. Okay. So we have to increase our confidence, increase our substance, increase. Think about it now from this perspective. Like, you woke up today. Not a lot of people woke up. I mean, a significant amount of people didn't wake up, rather. Okay. You passed, you know, for the most part, COVID that, shut down the whole country and parts of the world. You know what I mean? You survived that. It was people digging mass graves for people in certain places. I believe in New York had a mass grave outside of a hospital. So you survived these things. Look at how God has kept you up. Afterwards, the economy collapsed. The economy's still bad. You know what I mean? The Fed right now is thinking about cutting interest rates to, boost the market. But here you are. Here you still stand. You know what I'm saying? So you might not be able to see, you might not be able to see the way the Most High works, but when you go back and analyze it, he's clearly working, you know. One of my favorite books, Esther, of how what the things that are going to happen to Mordecai didn't, and it happened to Haman or Haman. It happened to that dusty fake Jew. You know what I'm saying? And he got hung on the gallows. So, and as all this is unfolding, it's the Most High working behind the scenes. You know what I'm saying? You might not see it, and it might not be in your face, but that doesn't mean it's not happening. It is occurring. Okay, let's get First John chapter 5 and verse 4. So we come in here, um, let's just go with Judah. Judah will be the next of their enemies, but Judah doesn't have its own country. Judah doesn't have a standing army, a navy, an air force. You know what I'm saying? So what does Judah rely on? Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. We don't rely on guns and stuff because any gun that we buy in America, you're getting it from your enemy. For the most part, I know they got these 3D guns and stuff now, but for the most part, anybody with 3D guns, they're not using it on anybody but each other anyway. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think they have 3D bullets yet, so you got to buy your bullets from your enemy. So we have to rely on faith. And that's not taking anything away from the other tribes. But as far as Judah's concerned, we're in the belly of the beast. You know what I'm saying? So in order to take control, of our lives, our emotions, what we're going to do next, we got to trust in the Most High God. Let's bring that out. 1 John 5 and 4.
God, this is the book of First John, chapter 5 and verse 4. For whatsoever is born of Yahweh overcometh the world. And this is the victory that overcometh the world, even our faith.
So to overcome the world, we got to have faith. Go ahead.
Who is he that overcometh the world? But he that believeth that Hamashiach is the son of Yahweh.
So it's basic. You got to have a foundation. You know what I mean? To overcome the world, you got to understand that the Most High had a son. His name was Yahushai. He came as a sacrifice for the children of Israel. And you got to have reverence to the Son of God. You can't do that. You know what I mean? If you don't have faith, then it's not gonna work. You know what I mean? Oprah said it. Oh, you can get through Jesus, or you can get through God, without Jesus or something like that. But come to find out, she's like knee deep in a pedophile ring. You know what I'm saying? Harry, what's his name? Weinstein or something like that. Every other picture, they together kissing. You know what I mean? She's giving
Con,
them hugs, right?
Harvey
Harvey
Weinstein,
Weinstein. Yeah, she's sitting next to him at every dinner. How many people can sit next to Oprah? You think Oprah didn't know what was going on? And you look at I don't know, it was the Academy Awards or some type of award ceremony, and somebody made a joke about Weinstein talking about, oh, I'm glad, something about what he does with young women, and everybody starts laughing. You know what I'm saying? So I say that to say, you look at what she said, and now you look at what she's done, you know what I mean, or what she's into, and you can make your determination on your own. In order to get to God, you got to go through his son. He's the mediator. You know what I'm saying? Let's go to Romans 10 and 17. Buddha's not the mediator. Krishna or whatever they're into, I think she might be into like the law of attraction. You are the creator. I think that she had them on Rhonda something. I can't think of her name, but had Oprah might have had her on her show. But that's what a lot of them believe. They believe that you're God. You did all this. You're just experiencing this. So it takes away from the creator, but they're fairly demonic, so it makes sense for them to say something like that. All right, let's bring that out. Romans chapter 10 and verse 17.
Con, this is the book of Romans, chapter 10 and verse 17. So then faith cometh by hearing, and hearing by the word of Yahweh.
So in order to get faith, you got to understand what this is about, right? You got have somebody give you the message. You know what I'm saying? That's why it's important for us to continue to do this work, because how are they going to know? You know what I'm saying? You look at your own life. How did you find out you were Israelite? And what were you doing days before, weeks before, months before? Were you doing the new moon? Were you getting ready for tabernacles? Were you preparing for a Passover? Nah, because you didn't know any better. You know what I'm saying? That's why the scriptures say the Most High winks at our ignorance. We just didn't know, but we have a job to do. You know what I'm saying? We got to tell other people who they are and what they should be doing. Well, I mean, other people, obviously Israelites. Let's go up to verse 14. Romans 10 and 14.
Con, this is the book of Romans, chapter 10 and verse 14. How then shall they call on him in whom they have not believed? And how shall they believe in him of whom they have not heard? And how shall they hear without a preacher?
How's anybody going to know?
Shalom.
Shalom. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Khan.
Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. All praises.
Khan. So how are people going to realize, that they're Israelites, that they should be following the law, statutes, commandments, who everybody is according to the scriptures, who their enemy is, what I mean? Because your enemy taught you everything. Your enemy made you stand up and pledge allegiance every morning before school. It's like 7 to 8 in the morning, you pledge allegiance to a flag. Your enemy made you do that. It's conditioning. You know what I mean? And once that sets in, it can be hard to, uh, um, I don't say replace, you know what I mean? Hard to, get out of that mind state. You know what I'm saying? To the point where, we're so blinded, we ready to fight another black man if they don't stand up to salute the flag. Like, yo, why don't you go get out of this country? And loving this place more than, Esau. But in order to combat that, we got to speak. We got to teach. Go ahead. Can we read verse 15?
Con, verse 15. And how shall they preach except they be sent? As it is written, how beautiful are the feet of them that preach the gospel of peace and bring glad tidings of good things.
So, and it starts with Yahweh Shem Shai. You know what I mean? If we weren't woken up to this truth, then we'd be in the same boat as everybody else, or we'd be doing the same thing we've been doing, so we got to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Shemel Shai for getting us out of that worldly mind state. You know what I mean? Aiming to get a yacht, you know what I mean? And then once you get one yacht, you need 2 yachts. You know what I mean? You're not satisfied with 1 mansion, you need 5 mansions. You know what I'm saying? Just taking on the attributes of your oppressor. He's just never satisfied. You know what I'm saying? When a thief comes to steal grapes, he leaves some grapes, not Esau. You know what I mean? So if we have that same mind state, the worldly mind state, now I need 1 Bentley, I need 2 Bentleys, and now I need 3 Rolls Royces, like the bling bling pastor, bring preacher, getting out of that world, getting out of that mind state, and teaching others to do so, you know, and having faith in what you're reading. Okay. All right, so let's go to James chapter 2 and verse 17. Shalom, everyone. Came on. Shabbat shalom. So we can't be, we look around like, what's wrong with our people? There's some of our people who don't know who they are, and some people that do, some people that openly reject it. Okay. But that's not up to us. You know what I'm saying? That's all in the work of how about Shem Shai, you know. We just got to plant the seed, Most High will water. All right, let's get that. James 2 and 17.
God, this is the book of James, chapter 2 and verse 17. Even so, faith, if it have not works, is dead, being
Con,
alone, being alone.
So faith without works is dead. You can't just have faith. You can't just believe and then do nothing, If, like it says in Romans, faith cometh by hearing, you have a job to do. You got to proclaim to the rooftops, you're a man in the truth. You're supposed to let people know who they are. Let our people know who they are. You can have faith like, oh, this is all going to come true. This is, America's going to be destroyed through thermonuclear destruction as is prophesied. Esau and other nations are going to go into captivity as is prophesied. You believe all that, but you're not doing any works. You have faith, but you're not doing any works, and going further in James, it's like, I'll show you my faith through my works, So the moves I'm making on the planet is because I have faith. I know this is true. All right. Let's go to Matthew 15. One thing I noticed being out there, at camp, is that a lot of people actually know they're Israelites. You know what I'm saying? They'll have bags in their hands. They just went to McDonald's, just went to Five Guys, and try to explain, like, oh, let me read you a couple scriptures. They're like, oh yeah, I know I'm an Israelite. Wait, so why are you shopping on the Sabbath? Why are you not here with us? You know what I mean? It's the Sabbath, it's the day of rest. We walking to and fro, hanging out downtown. So our people would know, they had what, Kanye West, that whole scandal, Kyrie Irving. If anybody had, half a brain, they would say, something's up with this. I gotta figure this one out. How come Kyrie Irving just posted a picture and Nike dropped him? He got suspended from work as being one of the best basketball players on the planet. Start asking yourself, how's that possible? Well, because they don't want you to know, you know what I mean? And anybody that steps up, they want to knock them down. And that should be, that alone should make people like, I got to figure this one out. Let me look deep into this, So people heard about it. Kendrick Lamar talked about it on his album. Ice Cube talked about it. Being in the truth. Carmelo Anthony, basketball player. And the list goes on and on. The list goes on and on. So a lot of our people hear that. Oh yeah, we're the real Jews. All right, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Minister
Con.
Farrakhan says that.
Yeah,
Khan,
Salaki King. Yeah, Mello. I saw that on you talking about when they was on the podcast or
Khan,
something, and somebody called in to Mello and was like, "Yo, Mello, you know we the Israelites." And Mello is a 5%. Of Mello is like, "Yeah, we all that. We the Hebrews, we Muslims." That's the
mhm.
confusion that our people do though. But I did hear when they told Mello that it's like, Mello, you know we the Hebrew Israelite. He's like, yeah, I know that, I know that. We all of that. We gods, we Hebrew Israelites, we so our people still be under a confused state. You know what I mean? Like you said, just they know they Israel, but they still got some confusion with them. You know what I'm saying?
Khan, Khan. See, I seen it cut off when he says, "Yeah, let's talk about it. Yeah, we the Israelites, let's talk about it." And then that's more than likely when he starts saying, "Yeah, we everything. We Catholics and Christians and Muslims." Yeah, that sounds like Jake. You know, that's Jake right there. Because I was talking about
You
Minister
know the main
Farrakhan.
thing people don't want to deal with these laws because Mello he's smoking a lot of weed. Like when you
Mhm.
start telling them about the laws, that's when they don't want to deal with it. Yeah, well I can't. I got to smoke my weed, and that's the thing that's going to get a lot of our people destroyed. They refuse to deal with the laws of the Most High, man. One thing to know you Israel, but then you got to do these laws and statutes and commandments. And our people got issues with that. They don't want to stop sleeping with any women that they want to, even if she's married. I mean, these are just real issues that our people got. That's never gonna bring them to the light.
Khan, excellent point, Elder. I remember talking to a sister in Southwest Philly years ago, and she completely was, yeah, oh yeah, with Israel, that makes sense. And oh, okay, we're on the slave ships. Okay, yeah, all that makes sense. Yeah. Oh, I gotta do this. All right, that's no problem. Da da da. And we was just, reading scripture after scripture to her for a while. And then it came to like, yeah, and, can't eat pork. Like, yeah, okay, yeah, I don't need no pork. And can't eat shrimp. She was like, what? Like, yeah, you can't eat shrimp. It's a cockroach of the sea. She's like, can't eat shrimp. All right, I'm out. And just left. And I'm like, we're like, no, don't off of shrimp. You're gonna give away the kingdom of heaven, ruling over your oppressor, peace and me, drinking wine with your house shy and all that. Like you gonna throw away all that for some shrimp? Yeah, And she was probably, feast days, no problem. You know, wearing a dress with fringes, probably no problem. Like she had no problem with any of this stuff until it came to shrimp. So yeah, our people know, but they just refuse to hearken. You know what I mean? Minister Farrakhan knows that he's an Israelite. He had like a campaign push. I don't know if it was '09 or when it was, but he was saying, we are the real Jews, but at the same time, we're Muslims. You know what I mean? So it's confusion, ultimate confusion. So let's go to Matthew chapter 15 and verse 8.
Hey, Salaki King, being
Khan.
that you bring that out, Malcolm X knew we was Israel for sure because one of our leaders of the school talked to Malcolm X. He actually talked to Malcolm X before he died, but they was all in Harlem together. And he used to tell Malcolm all the time that we was Israelites. You know what I mean? And Malcolm knew that, and Malcolm actually told his nation, he said, there's going to be men that's going to come out in the streets and they're going to tell you they the Jews. Listen to them. That's Malcolm actually told his people that because he was talking to one of our elders, back in the day.
Yeah, and I remember hearing that in his speech. The Valley of the Dry Bones. You know, what I mean, you're Lazarus, you're rising from the dead, and you know, better. You got to do better. Especially when you find out that you're an Israelite, you kind of on the clock. I don't say kinda, you on the clock. Because when it comes to the judgments and everything like that, the Most High knows exactly the time that you found out you were an Israelite and what you did and what you didn't do. You know what I mean? And that could backfire if you don't do anything and you don't change your life. Kyle, let's bring that out. Matthew 15, verse 8.
God, this is the book of St. Matthew, chapter 15 and verse 8, going into red letter. This people draw nigh unto me with their mouth and honors me with their lips, but their heart is far from me.
Okay, so it's the lip service, I love God. I love Jesus. That's my Jesus. I do anything for God. Okay, can you not eat pork? Anything but that. I love my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ so much, there's nothing I wouldn't do. Can you try and follow the laws? Nobody can do it. I'm not even gonna try. So with the lips, it's easy to say, yeah, I love you. You know what I'm saying? People say that all the time. They throw that around like like it's the biggest lie in the world, Well, also other lies always saying I'm fine. How you doing? I'm fine. You be going through the worst day of your life. I'm fine. So as far as lip service, gotta be from the show me state. Most High say I'm from the show me state. Let me know. You show me that you love me by keeping my commandments, by keeping my laws, statutes, and commandments. Don't just say it. Don't just say I love you. It's an action word. Love is an action word. You can't say you love somebody, but you beat them up every day. You treat them terrible. You cuss at them. You throw stuff at them. You're just a tyrant. But I love you though. That doesn't work. Who believes that? You got to actually, you know, back it up with action. So think about it. The maker of heaven and earth, they know this. They know that people are gonna just honor them with their lips. But you gotta be a living example, having the faith in Hamashiach Yahushua, having a faith in Yahweh, you know what I mean? And live accordingly. Because think about it, as far as being an Israelite, how many of your family members know multiple Israelites? Unless your family is from an Israelite background, you might be the only Israelite in your family. So everybody's looking at you. You're representing Yahweh Bashem Yahushua on the planet. Saying that you come from a ancient lineage, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So people looking like, well, how is she acting? How is he acting? Do they just keep talking like, yeah, you shouldn't follow, you shouldn't go out and do any of your pleasure on the Sabbath. You know what I'm saying? God requires you sacrifice and rest on that day. But then you always partying on the Sabbath. You know what I mean? You always making excuses. They looking at you, of course, they're like, yo, isn't this your Sabbath? You're supposed to be resting, right? Oh, yeah. But God knows my heart. So I'm gonna go to the Chris Breezy concert. You know what I'm saying? Because maybe I might run into him, you know what I mean, backstage, and I could tell him he's an Israelite. So, I actually have an agenda. I know what I'm doing. And they'd be like, man, looking right through you. You just talk a good game, but you have to represent. And they watching. People are always watching you, Israel. Trust and believe. You put up a video, say on Facebook or Instagram or whatever like that, TikTok, and you might get 1,000 views and like 2 likes, and the 2 likes are from Israelites. Everybody else is watching you. What are you doing? What's this person doing? Let me check them out. Are they about to sin? They about to fall away? So we gotta put action with this faith, this substance, the confidence. Okay, you got to be confident. Look. Oh my goodness, look what's going on. There's Most High willing, where everything works out Wednesday when we talk about it. There's mutant deers that got tentacles coming out their face. Looks disgusting. Pus, balls all around them. It looks like a mutant deer. It looks like something you'll see in a horror movie. Rabbits as well. They got tentacles coming out of their mouth. It looks terrible. So they got it's rabbits, it's deer, and it's squirrels. Same thing with squirrels. And this is happening right now in the United States. Like things like that should build your faith. Like, is this normal? You know what I mean? Animals will come out of their place. Who knows if these things have been around for centuries? They could be, um, you know, in a cave somewhere, and now they're just coming out to like eat the other deer or eat the other rabbits. I don't know. And Esau doesn't know either. He tell you, just stay away from it. Like, he doesn't know what that is. We're at the end of this thing. Okay, so Most High willing, um, experiencing and seeing these things will build up your faith to a level where it's unshakable. So, you know what I mean? You hear something and you know, all of a sudden you just sway the other opposite direction. Like, okay, so we're not the ancient Israelites. Apparently we're Elam, and Krishna is our God. Let me give you this 7-part series on this. And then you watch it, you're like, damn, that makes sense. I think I am Hindu or whatever. You know what I mean? And then you watch another camp video, be like, nah, you know what? I might be an Israelite. And then you watch something else, and you just swaying back and forth like a drunkard. That's why you got to be sober in these last days. Stick to the script. Stick to who, like Mike Tyson says, stick to who brought you here. Okay. Now let's get some examples. Let's get Romans 4:20. Because the amazing part about God, he doesn't just say, take my word for it. Just he says, trust me, but he gives you examples why you should trust him. It's not just, because everybody says, Buddha's the way to go. It's all about compassion. It's all about love. Trust me. Allah, he came down and from a rock and landed in Mecca, and that's the way to go. Don't kill spiders and cuff your pants. And don't hurt another Muslim. You do whatever you want to the infidels, but don't hurt another Muslim. It just makes sense. Right? Just trust me, with no anything backing it. Muhammad is a prophet apparently, but he doesn't have any prophecies. Trust me though. Trust me. It'll eventually pay off, because once the Bible stops, that's where the Quran keeps going. So the Quran and it never been changed. So it's so much more important than the Bible. Trust me. God don't have that. He says trust me, but he gives you examples, vivid examples of why you should trust him. And these men are documented throughout time. Okay. Let's bring that out. Romans 4:20.
God, this is the book of Romans, chapter 4 and verse 20. He staggered not at the promise of Yahweh through unbelief, but was strong in faith, giving glory to Yahweh.
So you're not staggering, not, oh, I don't believe this stuff. This doesn't make any sense. Yada, yada, yada. But he stays strong in faith. All right, go ahead.
And being fully persuaded that what he had promised, he was able also to perform.
I'm fully persuaded. I believe in God. I believe that, that this is the way to go. Now, of course, right? When you look at it, he has took us out of some dire positions we've been in. You know what I mean? Leading us out of Egypt, you know, the most powerful country, powerful group of people in the world at that time, you know, and the way he did it, like structurally destroying them through their gods, you know what I mean? Through what they had their faith in, you know. So and going all in, you know what I mean? Giving us, and it says the scriptures talk about, we're not even gonna talk about Egypt anymore, you know, as far as what we're gonna talk about getting us out of the land of the north, you know, but it's giving us an opening of, oh wow, so he was able to help us then, so of course he's going to help us now, you know. Abraham trusted in Yahweh Shem Shai. Abraham put his faith in the Most High God, and we're still talking about Abraham to this day. You know, let's get that. Let's see what he's talking about. Let's go to Genesis 15. Fully persuaded, fully all in. You know, I'm going all in with this. You know, and what I always say to people, some people that don't believe in God, set camp or whatever like that, like, I don't believe in that. You know, I don't believe in the scriptures. I don't believe in this, that, and the third. And one way to get fully persuaded is ask yourself, how do we get here? If we could have a debate on that, you know what I'm saying? With somebody that's atheist, or, you know, it just sounds ridiculous because whatever they say, it just doesn't make any sense. They'll say, oh, well, nobody knows, and you know, or the Big Bang Theory, you know what I'm saying? Whatever they have to say, it just doesn't add up to the reality that somebody way more intelligent than us put us here. And when the Bible goes detailed accounts of what happened during that time period, it makes sense. Other religions, or not other religions, but other stories, other, you know, written accounts, it just doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? I know how, I mean, I guess it's the 5%ers, how the white man came here, he was made in a lab in a cave somewhere or something to that effect. It makes more sense that Jacob and Esau, you know, Esau came out first holding his heels, and it's prophesied that the elders shall serve the younger. And we can see the way this is manifesting out in front of our face now. You know, so if you can't, if it doesn't make sense at all, then it's best just to, you know, leave it where it's at. But that's what I do. You know what I mean? And it fully persuades me. It makes perfect sense that the Bible, it just makes sense. You know, some people not as much. So let's get what Abraham's righteousness is talked about. Let's get Genesis chapter 15, verse 5.
Con, this is the book of Genesis, chapter 15 and verse 5. And he brought him forth abroad and said, look now toward heaven and tell the stars, if thou be able to number them. And he said unto him, so shall thy seed be.
Khan, go ahead.
And he believed in the Lord, and he counted it to him for righteousness.
Khan, okay. So he's looking at all the stars of heaven, like the background. You know, that's the, you know, your seed's going to be plenty, multiplied. You know what I mean? And he believed in the Lord. You know, having a conversation with, you know, a higher power. You know, and that's not true for everybody. You know what I mean? Look at Lot's daughter's husbands. You know, the angels came in and caused a huge ruckus, and he's like, "Yo, we gotta get out of here. They're about to destroy this place." He's like, "I don't believe you," and they got destroyed right along with everybody else. You know, so it's not guaranteed that people will take take heed of the message. You have. That's why you're here. You know what I'm saying? For the most part, of course, we all know that, there's people that don't believe on, or people that are watching just to see what's going to be said, and you know what I mean? But for the most part, you're in and day out, knowing you are God's chosen people. You know what I mean? And that should deepen your faith, your resolve, your confidence as days go by. Most High is still protecting you. Most High still has your back. You've been experiencing strange synchronicities and spiritual things, having amazing dreams, so forth and so on. And this keeps on reinforcing that faith. Okay. Let's go to Hebrews 11 and verse 24. It's talking about Moses. So Abraham believed the Most High, and it worked out good for him. Okay. Let's bring that out. Hebrews 11 and 24.
God, this is the book of Hebrews, chapter 11, verse 24. By faith, Moses, when he was come to years, refused to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter,
Khan, go ahead.
choosing rather to suffer affliction with thy people of Yahweh than to enjoy the pleasures of sin for a season.
How many people could say that?
God.
It's like unlimited riches, never go hungry, the finest of the fruits and the food of the land, and the finest of the women, the wine, everything. You're at the top, and like Nehemiah was, the king's cupbearer. He said, now I'm gonna go build up the wall of my people. How many people can honestly say that that's what they would do? Now, hopefully you would, watching this now, but that makes it, it's a small segment of the population. Obviously, we look at the way the world is, the evil that the world brings, and people will sell out their own mother for $1. Imagine how much they will sell out everybody for, living underneath Pharaoh. Look at the Hollywood actors, the politicians, the rappers, R&B, whatever. They have no problem selling out. How much I'm gonna get? You got $10 million signing bonus? $1 million contract? Yeah, I'll do whatever. I remember I talked to somebody like that. I was talking to him like, you would do these things for money? He's like, yeah, of course. I don't care about people. And he didn't blink an eye, nothing. And it's a lot of people out there like that. Somebody, that's why Moses was the meekest on the planet, very humble. He said, man, I'm gonna chill with my folks. It's like living in a house, being a house slave, right? From a house slave to a field slave. Instead of sleeping in the attic or sleeping in the basement, I want to sleep in the shack with 10 other people. It takes a lot to take that leap. That's a leap of faith. Go ahead. Read on.
Khan, esteeming the reproach of a Mashiach greater riches than the treasures in Egypt, for he had respect unto the recompense of the reward.
Khan, he knew that is greater than this. You know what I'm saying? The future of doing what the Most High requires, right, is much better than what you can have now. This is temporary. He wanted an everlasting kingdom. He wanted everlasting joy. Go ahead, verse 27.
By faith he forsook Egypt, not fearing the wrath of the king, for he endured as seeing him who is invisible.
Okay, so he forsake Egypt. They're not worried about the king. His fear is with Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Okay. And
God, I
here-
lucky because you gotta remember Moses was right there with the Most High, also seeing all the works of the Most High, right? This is firstborn being killed, seeing the plagues, seeing all the destruction. So that's also increasing his faith. He's seeing it. So why am I gonna go with a king? And I'm seeing that his firstborn is being killed, plagues in his country, all type of stuff happening. My faith is strong too, because I'm actually witnessing what the Most High says he's gonna do, and he's doing it right in front of my face. It just makes sense. You understand what I'm saying? It's
Con,
like right now with what we seeing this kingdom falling.
con, seeing the kingdom falling, like the elder was saying, yeah, that should be increasing our faith. You know what I mean? Seeing Donald Trump.
Con,
Con, go ahead.
Con, King. Bill Gates just made a statement. I put it on my Facebook. He said that for sure people will die off because of the sun rays. He said the
So, Slocky, go ahead, elder.
He said the sun is going to be killing people off and they're going to die because of the sun rays. That's
Got
what Bill Gates is saying. Not Bill Gates, Elon Musk, which we knew that already. So, that we seeing what's happening. Because the scriptures tell you, Revelation 16:8 and 9, and the sun came hotter and hotter on the earth. So we seeing all this effect, man. So that should be increasing our faith, man.
Con, absolutely, and things that man can't do. You know, man can't make the sun hotter. You know what I mean? This is God dealing with that. They're trying their best to put chemtrails in the sky to had the aluminum reflect back on the cloud. You know, they need some type of shade. But another thing man can't do is close up the womb of virtually an entire group of people, entire race of people, entire tribe. You know what I mean? The Edomites. Elon talks about that a lot. Like, yo, I need you guys to have babies. Come on, look at our numbers. That has nothing to do with climate change and carbon monoxide or whatever. You can't blame that on anything other than this is what God wants to happen, you know? So most high willing that seeing these things are increasing your faith. We went from the crack era, right? Which largely affected us. They put it in our neighborhoods, put guns in our neighborhoods, took the jobs away to foreign countries, so forth and so on, right? And now it's their children that are affected by the heroin epidemic, the fentanyl. It's like almost completely reversed. Now when you go down to the drug dens, it's nothing but, in Philly anyway, suburban Edomite children coming in and just staying, sitting in somebody's dirty house on the basement shooting up. Jake, it might be, Jake is down there scattered about, you know what I mean? But for the most part, it's them. So the transfer of power, you can see it happening. That's why I said the saints are going to take the kingdom. The Most High is kicking them, beating them down, and we're just going to take it. Okay. Let's go to Luke 8 and
Hey,
40.
Salakia King, and
Huh.
that's why, as you speak about that, King, that's why Trump, I think Trump got a $40 million bounty on the president of Venezuela, I believe, because they're saying that a lot of that drugs is coming from them now. And he put a $40 million $40 million bounty, I believe, on the president of Venezuela. The president of Venezuela orchestrated like 4 million soldiers to come up against them if they come against him. So, a lot of things is going down now. And that's really because, like you said, his people is dying. They mad. They mad at China. They mad at Venezuela because it attacked his people. Which, if you really look at it, they tried to bring that back on our people. Because like you say, the crack epidemic before, remember that movie that came out with Denzel Washington, American Gangster. You know what I mean? And then just like they did back in the days with Superfly and the cocaine era, they put out the movies to attract our people into that type of lifestyle. Like you had Superfly, you had New Jack City, you know what I mean? You had a lot of these movies that was kind of glorifying the drugs. So before they went into Afghanistan, went in and got the heroin, I think after they went into got the heroin, then they put out movies like American Gangster to kind of popularize that dope era again, but it didn't work. You know, it didn't. I know. I see what the slickness that the Edom might be trying to do, man.
Yeah, glorifying wickedness, and then it falling back in their lap. They children is going to the Wu-Tang concert. You know what I mean? Their favorite rapper is Eminem or Jay-Z. I like Jay-Z. You know what I mean? So you know, the terrible music that they was giving us, you know, I'm not saying all the music was terrible, but you know, that they promote and push to fit their agenda, their children was listening to it, and their children get brainwashed and affected by it, you know. So the pit that they're digging, they've fallen in themselves. Who has the power to do that other than the Most High God? So to hear that and experience it, like we're alive and we're experiencing it, we're experiencing martial law kicking off last night. Friday, everybody's going to the club or partying, whatever, not paying attention to anything. Trump says, yeah, we're gonna have, I think, 1,700 National Guardsmen going to 19 different states. It's only 50 states, you know what I'm saying? So 19 states, I'm not too good with math, but at the same time, I'm pretty sure they'll be in Pennsylvania. You know what I mean? And if they're going to Pennsylvania, they'll probably be in Philadelphia. You know, and you could probably bet your bottom dollar that what you see happening in DC is going to be happening in your state, in your city, where you're at. You know, and this is scriptures. This is scriptures. You know, Jacob's trouble type time. You know, so this should increase our faith because Yahweh Shemel Shai let us know that's the only way we're going to survive is through him. You know, survival is not guaranteed. You know, you out there on your own and, you know what I'm saying, I'm going to do my own thing. I got my knife, you know, I got a gun with 10 bullets. I'm going to be able to survive this. Nah, you need Yahweh Shemel Shai. You need to follow these law, statutes, commandments and increase your faith. Okay, let's go. We're going to get another example of faith. Let's get Luke 8:43. You know what I mean? So let's just, you know, check out what God is doing. Salakia. And move accordingly. Okay. Let's bring that out. Luke 8:43.
John, this is the book of St. Luke, chapter 8 and verse 43. And a woman having an issue of blood 12 years, which has spent all her living upon physicians, neither could be healed of any,
Go ahead.
came behind him and touched the border of his garment, and immediately her issue of blood ceased.
So that's another thing that Christ keep the law, obviously, because she grabbed the border of his garment, which would be where his fringes are, right? And look what happens. Clear it up. Go ahead.
And Hamashiach said, "Who touched me?" When all denied, Peter and they that were with him said, "Master, the multitude through thee and press thee, and sayest thou, Who touched me?"
You gotta also understand that Yahweh Shai has is very aware. You know what I mean? He's going through a whole crowd and he feels somebody grab him. You know what I mean? Feels somebody touch him. You know what I mean? Yeah, that should increase your faith. There's nothing you can get by with, how about Shemel Shai? Like maybe he's not paying attention. Maybe he didn't see what I just did. You know what I mean? These scriptures should reinforce something that we should know, that God don't miss a trick. Okay. Go ahead, verse 46.
And Hamashiach said, somebody have touched me, for I perceive that virtue is gone out of me.
Read on.
And when the woman saw that she was not hid, she came trembling and falling down before him. She declared unto him before all the people for what cause she had touched him, and how she was healed immediately.
Go ahead.
And he said unto her, daughter, be of good comfort. Thy faith had made thee whole. Go in peace.
So that faith healed her. She said, all I didn't do was just touch him. You know what I mean? And I'll be fine. And that's what happened. You know what I mean? And she had faith that would happen. And it worked out. Okay. Let's get Daniel chapter 3 and verse 16. So the woman with issue of blood, physicians trying to help her out, and this, that, and the third. All she had to do was touch the border of his garment, and that faith healed her, right? He said, thy faith have made you whole. Okay. So having that faith is crucial. You know what I mean? I think that you should think at this point, you know what I mean, building it up, Most High willing, is that there's nothing that God can't do for you. Of course, within the law, there's nothing that he can't do for you. You know what I'm saying? So just realizing that and having that always in on your mind, and well, matter of fact, we're going to get to the next scripture, Daniel 3 and 16, and it's like, God's going to help me, but if he doesn't, then that's fine. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, having that mentality, because if he doesn't, then it's his will anyway. Having that mentality will get you through a lot. You won't be questioning all the time, why this, God, why that. It's like, hey, if it works out, it works out. If not, it's still going to work out because this is what God intends. Okay. Salakia, let me get it. You could bring it out, King. Daniel 3:16.
God, this is the book of Daniel, chapter 3 and verse 16. When everybody have it, please say Khan.
Khan.
Verse 16. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this manner.
They're like, look, we set in this one. All right, go ahead, read on.
If it be so, our God whom serve is able to deliver us from the burning, fearing furnace.
Mm.
And he will deliver us out of thy hand, O king.
Khan, go ahead.
But if not, be it known unto thee, O king, that we will not serve thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up.
Khan, so if Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai wills, he'll save us out of the fiery furnace. But if not, we still not going to follow your God. You know what I mean? It's just it's really up to the Most High. If he wants to save us, then cool, because we have faith in him, right? But if he doesn't, that's cool. It's still his will. You know what I mean? So either way, do the facing death, facing certain death, either way, we're still gonna have faith in the Most High God. So that is the mentality we should all be increasing. It's not like a level like, oh, I have faith. Yeah, my faith is great. It's a constant increase. It's a constant demand of paying attention to the scriptures, the past, what the Most High has done for you in the present, and keeping that kind of in the forefront of your mind. You know, you don't just fall away. How do we not fall away? By reading the scriptures. So what should we do? We should be writing things down as well. You know what I mean? Amazing things that happen to you throughout the day. You know, like, oh man, I'm never going to forget that. You kind of do though. You know what I mean? It kind of takes away from uh you know, it could decrease, if you will. You know what I'm saying? Like the way you're feeling, oh, I can't believe this happened. I was on my way, uh, let me think, you know, I couldn't pay my rent. There's everybody's money problems, right? I couldn't pay my rent. And then all of a sudden I just got a random check in the mail, and you know, it was the last pay from my job, which I don't work anymore, and they just happened to send out another check, which I didn't expect. This, that, and the third, and I'm able to pay my rent, and things keep going. I'm able to get another job or work for myself, and now everything's fine. This is amazing. Thank God. All praise the Most High. You know what I'm saying? Like that day that happened, it's fresh. It's something that's in your mind. Write it down. Write the day, the time, everything, how you feel, your emotions. Because if you read it back, you know, in a year, you can still feel that emotion. Like, wow, yeah, the Most High definitely had my back right there. Instead of not writing it down and being, how did I do that? How did I do that? I think I might have called HR and asked for my job or my last check, and I. But, you know, writing it down, you realize that Yahweh Shem Shai had you. You have faith, you know? And that's why we write, you know, the Most High, you can feel the emotion coming through the scriptures. Okay, in a lot of things. So we got to apply the faith too. Okay, let's get Galatians chapter 2 and verse 20. We got to apply it to our everyday life. You know, how we wake up and go to sleep and everywhere in between. Having faith in the Most High. We have faith that the Most High is going to wake us up. We pray before we go to sleep. You know what I mean? And today we're live. We woke up today. That's a positive thing, right? And you know, we might not see death. You know, we might make it into the kingdom without having to see death. You know, but it's all in the will of the Most High. All right, that's His avenue. You know, that's out of our pay range. All right, but as long as we, you know, continue to do our best, you know, then good things will happen. All right, let's bring that out. Galatians 2 and verse 20.
This is the book of Galatians, chapter 2 and verse 20. I am crucified with Hamashiach. Nevertheless, I live. Yet not I, but Hamashiach liveth in me. And the life which I now live in the flesh, I live by the faith of the Son of Yahweh, who loved me and gave himself for me.
Okay, so um let's read that in the G&T, you know what I'm saying? Little straightforward. Galatians 2 and 20. So that it is no longer I who live, but it is Christ who lives in me. This life that I live now, I live by faith in the Son of God, who loved me and gave his life for me. So you're living, you know, living for Yahweh Shem Shai. You know what I mean? Have faith in Yahweh Shai, and the things you're doing, you're aiming to please God. You know what I mean? Not pleasing yourself. You're not entertaining yourself constantly. You know what I mean? You're sacrificing, you're putting in the work. All right. And Paul talks about it all the time. I'm a prisoner of Yahushua. I'm a prisoner. You know, he's actually killing God's follower, Yahushua's followers. He thought he was doing a good thing though. You know what I mean? So he's behind the eight ball. And we're all pretty much behind the eight ball, depending, if we all sin, we all sin and fall short. But for the most part, unless you were born into an Israelite family, you've been sinning a long time. You haven't been following the feast days for a long time. You know what I mean? So we have to come back to Yahweh Shem Yahushai like 10 times. You know what I mean? More than we can't worship Yahweh Shem Yahushai enough and do the work enough. Okay. We gotta make our election sure, especially seeing all this stuff, man. Like the elder was bringing out Venezuela. Who saw that on a bingo card? You know what I mean? Venezuela, war with Venezuela. And he might pull the trigger on that because don't forget, last time he was in office, he tried to set up a coup over there with Maduro. They had like a drone that exploded above him. He had like 16 like Marines and mercenaries hop out on the shore and with all types of radio equipment and weaponry and all this other stuff to assassinate him. So now that he's in, he's doing it. I'm with it now. Now he has like the elder was bringing out, oh, all our drugs are coming from Venezuela. Sure thing. You know what I mean? We all know CIA. And if they are coming from Venezuela, CIA knows all about it because they're the ones bringing it in. But now, a possible war with Venezuela, Taiwan and China, same situations. Iran is telling Israel, don't try it. If you want to go to war, we can do this. So all these wars and rumors of wars are popping up. Yeah, it's time to stay focused. We got to stay focused. All right, let's go to James 1 and 2.
Hey, real quick, King. You
Con.
said Iran told Israel don't do it. I
Yeah,
heard
yeah,
that war's about to start back again though.
Con.
You know what'd be crazy, King? Because Trump is alluding to it. If they assassinate the Ayatollah, because the Ayatollah is bigger than the president. He's supposed to be a religious leader, off limit. So if they
Mhm.
assassinate him, because Trump said, we know where you at. We know where you at. We got the spies, we got the drones, we know where you at. So basically he's telling them we can't assassinate you. If they assassinate him, that's off limits. It's gonna be a crazy. It's gonna escalate so much. And the Most High is controlling the mind. Remember, he tells you in Proverbs 21, he says the king's heart is in his hands. So he's controlling the mind, man. So this thing, we're gonna be, I don't know, but I say we're gonna be in a full-fledged war, they say, by 2027, especially with China. That's what they predicting. But it could be sooner than that.
Con. Yeah, this thing's about to explode. So, it's nothing wrong with giving your life over to Yahweh Shem Yahushai. There's nothing wrong with that. Like living for the Most High God. You know what I mean? Having the faith that, man, I'm gonna do everything in my power. So when the Most High sees me, like, oh, him, oh, her, yeah, they've been going at it. They've been really doing everything I asked of them, remaining diligent. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Instead of depart from me, you workers of iniquity, I never knew you. Who wants to hear that? You know what I'm saying? So close to everything unraveling. So that means just go harder, increase your faith more. And if you're having trouble, if you're wavering, ask the Most High for help. That's what prayer is for. And then have the patience to wait for the answers. Okay, and the help. All right, let's bring that out. James 1 and 2.
Con, this is the book of James, chapter 1 and verse 2. My brethren, count it all joy when ye fall into diverse divers temptations,
Go ahead.
knowing this, that the trying of your faith worketh patience.
And that's important. You know what I'm saying? Faith and patience go hand in hand. You know, you have faith that something's going to happen, that this is true. You got to have the patience to wait for it. You know, you can have faith for what, a day? You know what I mean? 4 hours. You know, that's the problem with our generation and humans in general, I would assume, that don't have any patience. You know, it's the fast food generations. The what's it called? Tray tables, not tray tables. You know, microwavable meals and stuff like that. That wasn't always around. You know, microwaves weren't always around. But now you instead of cooking all day, you can just get something out the freezer and throw it in the microwave for 2 minutes and you can eat dinner, you know. But come to find out that it's not as healthy as it's not the healthiest thing in the world. You know, the way it processed, preservatives, the microwave in general, you know what I mean? The black plastic that heats up and, you know, come to find out, none of this stuff is healthy for us. So that sacrifice is the same way. You know, spend time chopping up your food and putting things together and, you know, adding on your own spices and add on your own dish and everything. And it's healthy for you. You know what I mean? It could be a healthy meal. You know, that time is important. That real quick attitude is going to get you jammed up. You know, you pray for something, you got faith it's going to happen, but then you cursing God in the same breath. You know what I mean? Like Job's wife, curse God and die. You know, God, I need your help real quick. I need your help real quick. Come down and talk to me now. You like Judith was saying, you can't give the Most High God a time limit. You know, have the patience and wait for it. All right. Could be verse 4.
Verse 4. But let patience have her perfect work, that ye may be perfect and entire, wanting nothing.
So be patient. You put something out there, give it time. You know, you said in Daniel, the prince of this world was preventing the message to get up to the heavens. You know what I mean? It's a whole type of war going on in the spiritual world that we're really not aware of. We got a little glimpse of it through the scripture. You know what I mean? But with that, knowing that, you know, it's some things happening on the other side that we're not privy to, be patient. Be patient, okay? All right, let's go to Mark chapter 11 and verse 22. Because whatever you ask for, Yahweh Shemel Shai will give you. You know what I mean? And it's a judgment call because, of course, you can't ask for something that, you know, that's not in line with the scriptures. You know, God's not going to give you, you know, a pork chop to eat, knowing that you're not supposed to eat it and it'll kill you. You know what I'm saying? So if you don't get what you asked for, it's because it was not for your good anyway. You know, everybody prayed for the lottery, right? Oh man, if I win a lottery, God, if you could just do this for me. And knowing that it's not going to help you out at all. You know, he has other plans for you. Like why? And eventually you will get the lottery. You know what I'm saying? You will win $100 billion, but not like that. Not on this side, possibly. You know, you'll get 100 billion worth of gold, 100 billion worth of emeralds, 100 billion worth of rubies, sapphires, whatever. On the other side, when you're in the kingdom, you know, how about peace? Peace of mind is crucial. You can have all the money in the world, but if your health is failing, then what does it matter? If you can't sleep at night, what is $10 billion, the $100 billion? Elon Musk, he can't live without his ketamine. He's a damn junkie. You know what I'm saying? But he's a billionaire, so I guess it's fine. It's different when you're on Skid Row and they look down at you and say, hey, look at you, junkie, get a job and all this other stuff. He's on the same type time, you know? And he can't rest. He's in bad shape, man. I don't care all the LOLs and the laughing emojis he put on his tweets and posts and all that. He's not happy because he understands that there's a judgment coming. He wants to run to Mars. He's like, yo, come on, let's get to Mars before anything happens. You know, he don't have peace of mind. So he might have billions of dollars, but he don't have peace of mind. How many people right now, honestly, are scared to death with the reports, Avi Loeb coming out that there is a ship out of our solar system making a beeline here towards Earth, passing Mars and making a beeline towards Earth. And now they're saying it's making its own light. You know what I'm saying? It's not the glow of the sun that's illuminating it. It's illuminating itself. How many people are scared to death and it's hard to sleep because they know all the negative and evil things they've done in their life?
Hey, King, hey, that's that Luke 21, King. Men's heart failing them for the things that they see and coming out of, I think it says Luke 21 and 24, 25. Men's heart fearing them for the things that they see coming on earth. Something like that. That's what's happening right now. You know, I heard about that. It's supposed to hit here by November.
Uh,
It's the same thing you're talking about. But I heard they don't know what it is. Oh, it's been coming and it's heading right here, and they don't have no idea what it is. Yeah, I heard about that too. And it's the size of Manhattan.
yeah, yeah. That's scary, man. Dude, absolutely, Con. That's people are in bad shape now. Yeah, and you're not. How about that? Do you know what I'm saying? You're like, oh, okay, all praise the Most High. I can't wait to see what this. Some people are going through it. You know, Donald
But
Trump's like,
Salaki King, but
huh,
you know what, King? If they told people, which I definitely believe that the chariots are shooting down their planes, if they told people that some of them planes is crashing, the chariots is doing that, that would instantly destroy the economy because now you got nobody that want to fly. See, they can't tell they people certain things. It's just gonna wreck their whole economy. If you tell people that chariots is actually shooting down your planes, nobody's gonna want to fly. When nobody flies, no tourist comes into these cities that make business for the cities because the cities flourish off of the tourist industry. So now your whole economy has just crashed based on that fear. So they can't tell people certain things.
Con, Con, yeah, and the beauty about the internet, if Esau wants to be inquisitive, right, which he is, right? Anytime you're at work and you just talking to your coworkers, whatever like that, talking about what you did yesterday or this, that, and the third, here come Esau. Now you're a supervisor, Esau. Like he might be under you. You know what I mean? Come on, what are they talking about? Hey guys, yeah, okay. And they're sitting there listening and everything. You're like, you all right? You need something? Because he's just naturally annoying and in the way. So when it comes down to what the Israelites are saying, right? Let me see. Let me click on this. I'm gonna check out what these guys got to say, and then you find out, yeah, those planes don't just fall out the sky by themselves. Those chariots are knocking them down. And then from TikTok viral video with uh somebody spliced together like an AI generated video. The AI generated videos is off the hook, by the way. They spliced one where the guy's talking about the chariot that landed on a military installation, and the guys that got out were 7 feet tall and they had weapons. And they looked like they'd never been conquered before. That joint went viral on TikTok. That's one reason that they hate that app because China allows stuff like that to go viral. They don't have control over it like they do, say, like Instagram or Facebook, where they just stop the algorithm. So Esau being uh uh just a spy, you know what I mean, wherever he goes, he's gonna run into these stories and it's gonna change his life. And sleep is something that he is not gonna be able to get, you know. All right, all praises. All right, let's bring that out. Mark 11. Oh, sure.
John, this is the book of St. Mark, chapter 11 and verse 22. And Hamashiach answering, saying unto them, have faith in Yahweh.
Go ahead.
For verily I say unto you, that whosoever shall say unto this mountain, be thou removed, and be thou cast into the sea, and shall not doubt in his heart, but shall believe that those things which he say shall come to pass, he shall have whatsoever he saith.
So, literally say, have the mountain cast in the sea, but the mountain in the scriptures talks about rulership. You know what I'm saying? Um, when our ancestors in ancient Egypt were complaining and crying, not even say complaining, but praying and crying out to the Most High God, I guess it's complaining. You know what I mean? Like I'm upset, like I'm a slave, and they're adding more work to me. Work for me to do. Avenge me. Yahweh Shem Yahushai, right? And he heard our cries. Okay, so now who's Pharaoh? Trump. He's definitely on a tear uh to destroy God's chosen people. And like the scriptures say, unless that time be shortened, shall no flesh be saved. Look at what he's doing. He's taking you out of the museum. That has to be like something you got to think about. Like he's not playing checkers in that. He's playing chess. Where hundreds, 200 years from now, people like slavery. That's a myth. Look at this. Look, go to the museum. Go read the books. There was no such thing as slavery. You guys are just born violent and born, what I mean, not being able to make it. That's on you. So always be pushed back on us that there's just the way we are, rather than, you know, hundreds and hundreds of years, centuries worth of abuse. You know, um, some of our people haven't gotten away from that. A lot of our people haven't gotten away from that. All right. So from there to 19 states with National Guards, this is the time period where we should be increasing our faith and crying out to Yahweh Shemal Shai to destroy him. Right? And you look at it, his health ain't doing too good, man. His ankles, you know what I'm saying? They're saying is the the way the blood going from into his body up to his heart, it ain't going too good. You know what I mean? So if you have an issue with, you know, evil spirits, you know what I'm saying? Spirits like, hold up, you get a thought just comes by your brain out of nowhere, and that's, oh man, that's not me. I don't want to think about that. Most High, can you send that evil spirit to Donald Trump? Can you imagine if everybody did that? You know what I'm saying? And we should. I mean, it doesn't have to be the 40 million blacks in America. It could be the 20 people we have on this call. Anytime you have a issue where you feel like evil spirits around you, or some trying to infiltrate your thoughts, ask Yahweh Shemel Shai to send that evil demon to Donald Trump. It's way to get the mountain out of here. All right, and he'll his ticker ain't doing too good as it is. Once you have all these legions, I mean, they probably, for the most part, people in his status and billionaire status, they all into type of witchcraft, some type of witchcraft anyway. But the demons work for the Most High God, so they'll turn on him in a heartbeat, and that might be his last heartbeat. I don't know. We'll see. It's a new month, new year. I mean, not new year. It's a new month, um, and a new week. Let's see what this month brings. He might be they might have to hospitalize him. You know what I'm saying? Because the way his heart's not working too good, and the demons that are surrounding him. Okay. Go ahead. Continue on with Mark.
Verse 24. Therefore, I say unto you, what things soever ye desire, when ye pray, believe that ye receive them, and ye shall have them.
So the faith to know that God is going to bring down this mountain that is blatantly, he's talking about making it into heaven. He's seeing some things anyway. You know what I mean? He's experienced some things as is, because he talks about, I want to stop this war so maybe I can just get into heaven. You you never hear him talk like that before. You know what I'm saying? He's talking like that because he knows his time is short, and he's probably experiencing some things that he really can't talk about on air. And that's how he's expressing himself through them little cryptic messages, so forth and so on. But God got something for him. He's messing with his people, putting us in concentration camps, sent us to Venezuela, or not Venezuela, El Salvador and Guantanamo Bay, and you know what I mean? All this other stuff that he's aiming to do with us. God got something for him. Okay. And let's finish out with 2 Corinthians 5, verse 7.
They help us be with some water, wash and clean.
Welcome, welcome. Make sure you mute your phone when you come in. Go ahead, King Gaddy, you can bring it out.
This is the book of 2 Corinthians, chapter 5 and verse 7. For we walk by faith, not by sight.
Okay. So it ain't what you see, it's what you don't see. You know, look at, and you know what? We're at the end, so the things are being reinforced by Esau and his science. So Esau before is like, oh, you believe in the Bible? I believe in science. Now science is catching up with the Bible when it talks about how the angels can manifest and then pretty much not disappear, but kind of um, go up in the heavens and all these things that science can't account for, But now they're talking about dimensions, and yeah, the Luna, what's her name? Something Luna, whatever. She was on Joe Rogan, right? She's in the Trump administration. Um, she talks about, yeah, they're interdimensional beings. I got access to that, or the stuff that she knows. She was in a skiff, which is how they pretty much say a secret meeting. You know what I'm saying? Even though you pay for our uh everything, all your taxes go to our lifestyles, go to this limousine, go to our house, go to, this Louis Vuitton outfit I got on. You're not privy to what we have to say. So we all get into one room and we talk about classified material. So there's stuff dealing with the chariots and the angels that they know about, you know, and that they were talking about recently. So before us reading the scriptures, oh, we believe in that. That's none of that is true. It can happen. Da da da. It's actually coming out through Esau's media. And trust and believe he doesn't want this stuff out. It depends, right? You can tell when Esau wants to push a certain level of propaganda because he'll talk about it a lot and they'll revisit it days afterwards. You know what I mean? The 24-hour news cycle, they're still talking about it. For the most part, when it comes to the chariots, they don't want everybody to know this. It's not public knowledge. They don't like Ivy Loeb. Ivy Loeb says there's uh Muamua, and this thing coming up possibly has alien life on it, hostile alien life. that isn't necessarily being pushed on mainstream media. You know what I mean? It is, but it isn't, if that makes sense. If they start acting accordingly and going further with it, then now it's on MSNBC every other day, kind of like the war in Iraq. They had to push that. War in Iraq, here's weapons of mass destruction, weapons of mass destruction, weapons of mass destruction. 9/11, 9/11, 9/11. They kept saying the same words over and over again for brainwashing. If they don't do that with this, then they don't want us to look too deep into it because they know that they're not in control. Okay. Real quick, I like to bring this up because they don't. In the Mojave Desert, probably about 4 or 5 years ago, they said, on a military installation, a ninja showed up out of nowhere, right, with a sword and walked up to a military guy who was outside smoking a cigarette and said, "Do you know who my family is?" And the guy said, "What? What are you talking about?" In the middle of the desert, this guy shouldn't exist. And the guy said, "No." So what he did was he cut him with the sword, cut him on his legs so he couldn't run, and then chased him back to the barracks, which he could have easily destroyed him there, but went back to the barracks. The guy's bleeding, runs in. The ninja, quote unquote ninja, took a cinder block and threw it through the window and hit somebody else with a cinder block through the window. So the story is that they were attacked, right? But you can't find that on the internet. You know what I'm saying? It got leaked. It didn't get, they didn't make a statement. It got leaked, and then they said, yeah, this actually did happen. But we arrested the guy and, all this other stuff. And I looked up for the arrest, doesn't exist. The guy was never arrested. They didn't find him. The name that they did use for him, um, I forget what it was, but he was like a wrestler. And I contacted him because I wanted to know about this story. I'm like, yo, you were the guy that got arrested for it? He's like, no, everybody keeps asking me that. I'm not him. Somebody did, they put my name out there, but he has no idea who the person is. So God is making moves on this planet that we have no idea about because they will not talk about it. You know what I'm saying? So the little stuff that they do talk about, or not, I want to say mainstream media, but like alternative media talks about, is something that we're going to bring to the forefront because most high willing, it's increasing your faith. These things are really happening. It's legit happening right now. So we don't know what a new week's going to bring. We don't know what a new month's going to bring because the Most High is taking over the reins of this world. And it's a beautiful thing to watch. So hopefully your faith increases in these last days. And if you find yourself wavering, it might be a good time for a fast. You know what I mean? And it might be a good time to pray and meditate and read your scriptures. Okay. Not necessarily in that order, but increase your faith. Kom Yashala, we got next. All right. And we're going to end the lesson with some prayers. So if you want to anoint your head with oil and you want to prostrate or, stand and face the east, however you want to pray, light some incense, some frankincense and myrrh, feel free. I give you about a minute to do that and we'll get started.
Finally realize who he is. Look at that. You're mighty.
All right. We're going to pray out. This is the Lord's Prayer in Paleo Hebrew. Abanawa, Shabbat Shemayim, Kodash, Ayah, Shemka, Yahweh, Malachaka, Thaba'ah, Ratazayaka, Ayah, Aisha, Bo Ratazah, Kawa, Ayah, Bashamayim, Natananawa, Lacham, Kal, Yowam, Wasalaf Nawa, Kabawaf Nawa, Kasalaf Nawa, Kabawafi Nawa, Wala'a, Dabe Nawa, Banasai 1, Abal, Hawashai Nawa, Mayan, Rai, Kaya, Laka, Hamalakwa, Wa'ala, Watapalarov, Lai Wilamyam, Aman. This book of Matthew, chapter 6, verse 9. After this manner, therefore, pray ye, Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not in temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Shema Yasharallah. Yahweh, Allah Haynawa, Yahweh, Acha, Shema, Yasharallah, Yahweh, Allah Haynawa, Yahweh, Acha, Shema, Yasharallah, Yahweh, Allah Haynawa. Yahweh, Acha, Shemai, Yashirallah, Yahweh, Allah Haynawa, Yahweh, Acha. Hear, O Israel, Yahweh our power is one. Deuteronomy 6, verse 4. Creole of Israel, Hallelujah, Hallelujah, Hallelujah. Yabaraki Yahweh, Shamarkar, Yahweh, Pun Yahweh, Anyakar, Hanyakar, Yasha'a Yahweh, Pun Yahweh, Anyakar, Shemnakar, Shalom, Yahweh, Bashem, Hamashiach, Yahushai, Bogashar, Shemai, Nawa, Aita, Shalak, Micah Allah, Elohim, La, Shemaiah, Barak, Rapar, Izar, Magun, Kazak, Ataziyah, Bawa, Shemaiah, 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 Yasha'ala, 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 Kol, Akim, Kol, Akwathim, Kol, Bunyam, Yasha'al.
So who's going to help me set that up?
Salaki, let me do it again. Kol, Akim, Kol, Akwathim, Kol, Bunyam, Yasha'ala, Ba'ashem, Hamashiach, Yahushai, Dawada, Demyad, Awalam, Amen. Lord Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Hamashiach, Yahushai, in these last days, Babakashar, remind us that faith is an active, it shapes how we live, how we respond to challenges, lead us in a way where we can declare our faith and be delivered from things of such like a fiery furnace and not be singed at all with fire, come out untouched in this destructive country that we're living in or living across the pond in, dealing with these diabolical beasts. Allow us to take steps of obedience even when the outcome isn't visible. just trusting in you, Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. You know, allow us to speak words of faith over situations, not panic, not stress, but use our words, use our vows, use our prayers, okay? So we can replace the fear with prayer and trust. You know, knowing that faith is more than a belief, it's trust in action, how it can move mountains, heal the sick, and please Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. We ask to increase our faith, to increase the faith in every believer, that they may stand firm and trust in Yahweh Hashem Yahushai in every circumstance. In Yahweh's name we pray. Amen. All right. So, of course, it's a double Sabbath, meaning, well, today's the new moon and it's the Sabbath. So this is a special day that's, you know, marked down on the calendar of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. So treat it as such, you know what I mean? Have faith that your prayers are being heard. Have the patience to wait on the answer, and be aware of the circumstances surrounding you. We're in the last days, you know, so take this day seriously and give it to the Most High, and, you know, tell him what's on your mind, you know. I'm going to talk about lightning strikes, you know, lightning strikes and heart attacks. Pray to the Most High, judgment, you know, and uplift. It's not necessarily all about the destruction of the enemies, also about the upliftment of our people, you know, but I want to get these people out of here, you know. So, Kom Yashala, we got next. Everybody that's on the YouTube, you could give a like, comment, share, and subscribe or something like that, just to help out the algorithm. I appreciate it. And everybody else, you know, that's on, we have a couple announcements. So if you could stay on, I appreciate it. And if you're on YouTube, you can come over to the Zoom right now. Okay? Kom Yashala, we got next. Shalom.